Hey, welcome everyone to the Vikings Playbook and Skol State of Mind podcast viewers. Also, welcome. Your Sunday starts here with Vikings Playbook, but hey, it's a special collab day today because I got with me D Woods. So he's a Skol State of Mind on X and YouTube. He's the host of that podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you following D Woods on social media. I know he was streaming earlier tonight too, but make sure that you're following him if you're not already. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna bring the man on here too. D Woods, how we doing?
I'm doing well today, man. How about you, Steve, man?
Doing good. And I caught the first part. I know we were talking about it briefly before we jumped on, but I caught the first part, of your podcast. And, of course, it's coming up to the draft. It's next Thursday. And, we've been doing mock draft after mock draft after mock draft, and there's all this speculation. And I think all of us that do, pods or even just fans, we're just ready for the draft. We're excited to see who we end up selecting and, then taking a look at, all right, what does the roster look like now? How does that impact what we are able to do in 26 and in the future? But, uh, you talked about it a little bit in your podcast, but just talk about it a little bit more. What are you feeling here coming into the draft?
First off, I just feel like with the draft right around the corner on Thursday night and the rest of the weekend, I just really want some of those questions to be answered. Like a lot of these questions that we have, from Viking fans, Viking podcasters, Vikings content creators, we got a lot of questions. We don't know what direction they're going to go through with this draft. We don't know who's making the final decisions during this draft. Like everything is like it's just everything is up in the air right now. So like that's probably where my anxiety or my anxiousness is coming from, because it's like I really want to see what's going to happen draft day. Like, are they going to go defense? Are they going to go offense? We really don't know. Like we can't go into this draft and saying like, hey, they're going to do this, because at the same time, like Quasi's not here. Kevin O'Connell is supposedly getting, more of the reins of doing what he wants to do for this team. Rob Brzezinski is supposed to be the tiebreaker between him and Flores. It's like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited, but I really just want all these questions I got in my head to be answered when the draft happens. That's like the big deal with it.
And that's totally understandable. We're getting there. It's clicking down. We're gonna have some of those answers, whether that be, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit too with some of the topics that we have. But you know, again, you talked about it a little bit too with Kevin O'Connell, Rob Brzezinski. That's going to be part of the first topic that we go in. But hey, if you're out there listening, and I see a couple of the comments already, make sure if you got questions for myself or D Woods, go ahead and put them in chat, whether you're on X, whether you're on YouTube. Make sure that you put them in there. We'll try to answer them best we can throughout this. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you're also following us at Vikings Playbook on X, YouTube. It's Vikes Playbook on YouTube, and then Vikings Playbook for everything else for Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. And then, check it out. Coming up here too this spring, I also do a Fantasy 15 fantasy football podcast. Check that out as well too. We're going to have a full 2026 draft kit for you guys. Fantasy Football League. We also have our Fantasy 15 fan chat. It's an area for you to collaborate with other fantasy football managers. Not only ask us who you want, who you should sit, start, or trade, but also talk to other fantasy managers and get their input, or possibly, start your own league with other fantasy managers if you want to get multiple leagues going on. So just make sure we're planning to do some online rankings inside our website as well too. So check that out, fantasy15football.com. There's no www there when you're entering it in. So go check that out as we get closer to the football season, our Fantasy 15 podcast will be every Wednesday at 9:30 CST. We could switch that to 9 as we get a little bit closer. My buddy Ryan and Mark are out there on the East Coast, so make it a little bit earlier for them. We might shift it back to 9, but right now, 9:30 p.m. So go ahead, check that out. And then also next week is the draft, right? And it's going to be busy. So NFL Draft 2026, I'm going to be live round one coverage for the entire draft. I'm going to get started a little bit early at 5:30 p.m. CST. Make sure that you're subscribing. Make sure you set your alert. But come in, jump in. I'm going to have the TV on just like you guys are watching the draft. But this is going to be an opportunity for you guys to collaborate, ask questions. We can kind of watch and react together. I'm going to be joined by several different podcasters, writers, and fans. Maybe even having D Woods if he's got some time, because he's
I'm
streaming live too.
I'm a stream, but I'm gonna pop in.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna pop in. Yeah,
if you're able to, that's great. But we're gonna not only break down the Vikings, but we're gonna look at all full 32 teams. What the thoughts are, what my thoughts are, and everyone else's thoughts on who they're drafting, the surprises throughout. But obviously, we're going to focus on our Vikings in the NFC North and how that affects them. So again, make sure that you're tuning in there. It's gonna be good. I always like the draft. Round 2, round 3 might be my favorite because usually you have a little bit more picks and they go a little bit quicker.
right.
Round one, it always seems like, because they're drawing it out. Everyone wants their 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah, so it
You know
takes a
what
little
you
bit
want.
longer. Yeah, absolutely. So it takes a little bit longer, but make sure you're tuning in. I think that's going to be really cool. And then also, if you guys haven't seen it before as well, too, I'm also a writer for purpleptsd.com. Go ahead and support. Check out the different writers that we have over there at purpleptsd.com. Some great stuff bringing you purple news all day, every day. So, D Woods, we're going to go ahead, move on to our first topic. I also want to welcome into the house. I see King of Galaxy. Hey, thanks for joining us, Broski Bear. Hey, yeah, Broski, he's talking about it. D Woods and I, D Woods brought it up right before we went on.
Right,
Dexter Lawrence, man.
They
Dexter
control
Lawrence got
Giants
traded from the
control the top of
Giants
the
to the
draft.
Bengals, man.
Wow.
Talk about it.
Man, it's. I actually thought, like, considering Dexter Lawrence's situation to where he wanted a contract extension, he wanted a pay raise, right? So I'm like, all right, what team is going to give up a first round draft pick for Dexter Lawrence, knowing that once they acquire him, they're going to have to give him some kind of extension? I didn't see a first round pick being available. I thought it maybe would have been like a second and a third or something else next year, but they got the 10th overall pick
10th.
in the deal. And that just lets you know that Harbaugh is not playing. He's revamping this team into his image the way he wants it to be. Dexter Lawrence is not an old guy. I mean, he's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. I mean, I know Viking fans out there are like, oh, but you didn't want him on the Vikings. I didn't, because I don't think we are in the point where we can absorb something like that with Dexter Lawrence. But it's good for the Bengals because it makes their defense a whole lot better by just getting him in that defensive interior. So, I mean, it's good, but this is the draft week. This is what happens. Things happen out the blue. Yeah. And I keep telling people over and over again, trades are not made on Twitter. They are made in the background,
right.
And they just happen. They just happen. Like, speculation is what it is, but trades just happen.
And I'm not saying that, hey, we knew this was going to happen. His name had came up several times, but it didn't really just start bubbling until within this last, I don't know, even few days, really.
Right.
But this last week, where it really was made public that, he doesn't want to play for the Giants anymore. He's pretty much demanding that trade. So that makes things a little bit more difficult. When right before the draft, kind of switching up your plans, but as a team. But Dexter Lawrence he's an absolute beast. There was a lot of fans. Does it sound nice to have Dexter Lawrence on the Minnesota Vikings? Yeah, that would have been amazing. If we can build an all-star team. But then you just look at, all right, we have trouble even trying to pay the people that we're currently paying. And at the same time, you look at the draft capital. Yeah, it was the number 10 pick that they gave up. But, for us, we're at 18. They probably wanted 18 plus,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
this is where we're trying to get younger. We're trying to get, a little bit cheaper. Dexter Lawrence would have been amazing. Is just figuring out how to pay him. You know, maybe a deal could have been struck with 18 Grenard, and maybe we get some picks back from the Giants. Maybe something like that could have worked. Um, so yeah, it could have been, and who knows? We'll find out a little bit later if the Vikings were even in on it or sniffing
Yeah.
around something like that, because it at least it was rumored before we had been interested in Dexter Lawrence. So we'll find out more whether or not, just what they wanted from us was too much,
I
or
think
at
for the
least too
Vikings,
much for
from a
what they
Vikings
wanted to give.
point of view, I think the Vikings could have did a Dexter, well, should have did Dexter Lawrence deal 2 years ago. That would have been perfect timing
Yeah.
for Dexter Lawrence to come to the Vikings. And this is no slight against Dexter Lawrence. I respect him as a player. I know what he is. He's dominant. But I think like the Vikings are not in the position to where we are a Dexter Lawrence away from contending for a Super Bowl. I think we have too many holes, on both sides of the ball, and even on special teams, in my opinion. So I think the Dexter Lawrence deal did not happen for the Vikings because of all these other things. But if it would have happened, it shouldn't have happened 2 years ago. That would have been the perfect time for it, in my opinion.
Now, Broski asks, anyone else starting to think the Giants will be a problem for the rest of the league sooner rather than later? I mean,
Sooner.
it kind of depends. Their young team. You now don't have Dexter Lawrence wreaking havoc in the middle. So I mean, it kind of depends who they end up, drafting with that number 10 pick, and of course
Mhm.
number 5. Um, does Cam Scatabo come back healthy? Is Jackson Dart, is he going to have, which we've seen a sophomore slump with Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud? Um, you know, does he have that sophomore slump? So we'll see. We'll see. He had some injury last year as well too, so we'll see how he is in year 2 and how he continues to develop as well. But yeah, the Giants are starting to put some pieces. Malik Neighbors is coming back healthy as well. They got some things going.
Let me throw this out there, Steve.
Yeah.
The Giants are going to draft Jeremiah Love with the number 5 pick in the draft. Book it, take it to the bank. That's what they're going to do. That's going to solidify their offense, like to a certain point. To a certain point. Because I know Cam Scottaboo had an okay year last year before he got hurt. But if they get a dynamic, running back like Jeremiah Love, paired with a healthy Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart, and they can probably get whatever they can at number 10 if it's a tackle or a guard or whatever early, or maybe somebody on the defensive side to replace Lawrence. I mean, they're cooking with gas right now. I mean,
Yeah.
the possibilities are I wouldn't say endless because they do have a certain point, but they can do a lot of things interesting right now.
They're a young team that's
Yeah,
adding some really nice pieces, and right now they've been hitting in the draft with big positions,
exactly.
and that's the important thing. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And with the draft capital that we have this year, hopefully we're able to connect with it, especially in our earlier rounds. So, yeah, we'll kind of see how that works. Now, jumping into our very first topic that we have tonight, it you kind of talked about it a little bit, but how that GM position is going to hold up. So we
Right.
had the free agency. There wasn't really big moves that were done. Vikings were probably on the bottom of the list as far as salary cap. I think we were 31 out of 32 teams as far as how much we spent in free agency. But now that we get into the draft, this is where the money's made. We had the issues before with Kwesi and
Mhm.
draft picks. So can Rob Brzezinski show that, now initially when you make good draft decisions, you don't know right away.
Right.
Sounds good on paper. You really don't know until they get into camp and maybe after a season or two of whether or not, hey, did you hit on a draft pick? But at least initially, whatever the thoughts are coming out of the draft, whether we trade back, whether we trade up, whether we drafted the right person and so was available. What's going to be the feeling not only on social media, fans in general, and even in house? How do Ziggy and Mark Wilf feel about how Rob Brzezinski and Kevin O'Connell were able to navigate this 2026 draft? And is that enough for Rob Brzezinski to hold on to the position of GM afterwards? You
True.
know, it's I think he will be the GM as long as he does a decent job through this draft. I don't know. What are your thoughts, D Woods?
I just think like just for the GM situation, part of me feels like Rob is auditioning for the job,
Hmm.
to be long term. But then you got to think about it, like he's been with the team like over 20 years, and he could have had a situation to where he could have wanted to be a GM somewhere else for having that
Sure.
much experience in the front office, and he never showed that interest. And he's a great cap guy, he's capologist, or what you would call it. So
Hmm.
it's just kind of intriguing to see like what move the Vikings are going to make concerning their GM. And I was a little bent before when when they fired Quasi, and it was like, oh, it's horrible. And they talked about bringing in a new GM after the draft. But when you actually sit back and you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense, because when but majority of the time when GMs get fired, they get fired right after the season, which is January, end of January or early February, right? And they only have a couple of months to get the draft together. Now you have the scenario to where Rob Brzezinski, the scouts, the coaching staff, they're all going to get this draft together, and then they're going to try to look for a GM afterwards. That might be a better case scenario, in my opinion, if you really think about it, because now that GM will be able to look at the whole season and then make an idea what he wants to do for that next draft, and have more months going into next year's draft versus only a couple of months. So it's it's a weird situation. I understand it's never been done before, but at the same time, it's just like I said earlier, all these questions will be answered on Thursday. It will.
Tech Jedi says there's no job security in being a GM. He probably just wants to be I just work here guy.
Let's
I
not
mean,
give them that. Let's not say that.
I mean, the guy has been amazing as far as the cap goes. He's done a lot of great things for this
Right.
organization for a long time, and he's highly respected throughout the league and not just inside the organization. Now, the interesting thing to me is I think if the Vikings didn't feel, and I think if Rob didn't feel that he maybe wanted to take on or take a crack at being the GM, I don't think he'd be in these shoes right now.
Right.
Now, they didn't fire Ryan Grigson. He's still here. And I think that was to help and get through this draft. It's interesting that he wasn't promoted, Ryan Grigson, instead of bringing Rob for the job.
Hmm.
So that's telling as well. And I just think as much and as important as this draft is and how many picks that we have, I just think unless he bombs out in the draft, why wouldn't you bring in, because the same people that are going to be available after the draft were available before,
Exactly.
and you kind of want them to be able to ride with who they're going to have. So then 2 weeks after the draft, let's just say that we go with one of the names that popped up was John McKay from the Rams. He's the assistant GM out there. I'm just saying that's one of the names that popped up.
Yeah.
He was available
He was available
before.
earlier. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if he was truly the hire, or if he was truly like in consideration, or they
Yeah.
didn't think that Rob was going to be the guy or had a good shot at it, I just feel like they would have already decided that, hey, we need to do this before the draft, figure out who our guy's going to be, and instead of let's make a decision with a lot of draft picks that's going to decide our future, or at least for the next 5 years, and trying to get younger, because there's a
Hmm.
lot of big picks with our very first four picks that we have in 3 rounds, and
Right.
potentially more if we end up trading back. And
Hmm.
this just it's very important, and it's interesting that um, in doing it this way, you're also giving as much input as it looks to be with Kevin O'Connell. And this is funny because he used to be with the Rams. So did
And
Kevin
that's my
O'Connell. He looks
and
like
that's my
Kevin
reason why I
O'Connell's
don't like
son.
him. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's. I'm not denying. What's his name? Rich McKay, right? With
John McKay. Yep.
Tom McKay. Which, yeah, I'm not denying that he can't do the job, but from a front office standpoint, I don't want my head coach hiring his boss. I don't want my head coach having to say so in who his boss is, because in my opinion, Kevin O'Connell is on the hot seat this season. And if you bring in a GM, if you bring in a GM that's basically favors for Kevin O'Connell, then you're giving him more time to kind of right the ship or whatever and try to get things right when Kevin O'Connell is going into his 5th year. So I think like that's huge for me. Like, you have to bring in somebody that's going to be that bona fide, leader in the room that's going to make decisions. Because just like how we get on the platform and we say, oh, Kwesi did this, Kwesi did that. Yeah, he has to take the blame because he was the GM. I don't want a guy like McKay coming in to where it's like, oh, I'm cool with Kevin O'Connell, so now I'm afraid to make certain decisions. Nah, we got to get somebody that's outside of that whole Rams ecosystem to come in here and actually be the GM and see, what kind of vision they can create long term for this team. It can't be about Kevin O'Connell, and that's just a little bit like my gripe with the team. I talked about it last week, where I feel like the Vikings are failing as an organization because they are trying to build around a receiver versus building around a quarterback. And then from the front office standpoint, they're trying to build around the coach instead of letting the GM build his vision. So it's kind of like you can't live in both worlds. So
yeah, and I think if it ends up being that Rob Brzezinski doesn't get the job, to hire somebody from the outside like you're talking about, that's not the worst thing in the world. As long as the relationship is still intact and we get to keep Rob Brzezinski, because he is an important part of this organization. So that would be the however the Vikings handle that. I just hope that the end result is, whether it's Rob Brzezinski holding on as GM, I just hope if it's somebody else, Rob's still in the building.
Yeah, me too. So, Rob has to retire as a Viking executive.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, yeah, like he's seen so many coaches, so many players come through here. It's like, yeah, man, come on now, like you're not going anywhere. Even when you do retire, you can probably keep your office and be a financial consultant for the cap, just in case.
Now we saw the Dexter Lawrence trade happen before the draft, but do we think that there's going to be any other trades that happen for the Vikings during the draft? Now, I tuned in and I saw you guys, doing your mock draft, you and In the Zone doing you and Zoe were doing your mock draft, and you guys Zoe wanted to incorporate the Grenard trade.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people wanting to do the Grenard trade. So there's still a feeling that if anything's going to happen, it's probably going to happen, either right before or during the draft with Grenard. And, what would you put a percentage if you have to put a percentage on it of whether or not we see a trade happen before the draft?
60-40. 60-40 that the trade happens. The 40% is on Grenard because it's similar to the Dexter Lawrence situation where he wants a pay raise. He wants a new contract.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand Grenard as a player. Like, you want to get the best, value that you can. You want to get, you want to get the bag, whatever, right? But at the same time, like, the Vikings look at him as he's a good pass rusher, but he's not up there with Myles Garrett or Will Anderson. You see what Will Anderson got?
Will Anderson, 3 years of 150.
Right? But
and I'm sure Anderson he's probably looking at that like,
exactly. He's looking at that like, I need to get something close to that, right? So I think with the Grenard situation, the Vikings are in the position of they have the luxury of already having Dallas Turner on the roster. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like with the team having so many holes on offense and defense, trading Grenard for maybe a third and a fourth. And I know some people out there like, oh, you should get a second. Me personally, I don't want a second. I don't want a first. Just get the deal done. Give me a third and give me a fourth. I'm cool with that. Whoever wants to trade that, I'm fine with that.
And that's
Just
the kind of trade that you guys did, and I think that would be okay if we got a third and a fourth. I mean,
yeah,
ideally, a second would be great.
second will be great.
At least a second would be great. But if you're getting a third and a fourth, the value is similar.
Similar.
If you're getting something like that, and there's a lot of really good players that I think we both like in that third round.
Yes.
So, and potentially borderline fourth because we don't have a fourth round pick right now, and
That's
there's
my
a huge
thing.
gap.
It's a huge gap. It's like 50 picks.
Yeah, 161 to 97.
Right, right. Yeah, come on now. Like that's why I keep saying fourth. And what's crazy about that fourth, isn't that the fourth that we traded away for Adam Thielen? For Adam Thielen just to walk at the end of the season? And this is the deal that Quasi didn't want to do. So Rob, you gotta hold the L on this one, man. Because we
pushed for it. He reached out on it, right?
We pushed for it. And now we don't have a fourth round pick, and the gap is huge. So you got to fix it, Rob. Fix your mistake, bro.
And I think a lot of fans were also pushing for that as well too. I mean, I think I was on the fifth at the highest as far as that's where I was at. So we gave up a little bit more to get the deal done. We got it done. Didn't quite work out the way that we had wanted it to, but Larson Christopher says we will see about Rob. I think he means KOC overvalued some players as far as Quasi. Sorry. I think that's who he means. Quasi Dofamensa, maybe?
Yeah.
Overvalued some players too much and missed on too many picks. Yeah, that's who he means. Rick seemed to be a gambler the last few years as GM. Yeah. I mean, Rick was, sure, but ultimately, it was time for a change when we had Rick Spielman here. It just wasn't time for a change at the end, and ultimately we just didn't hit on our next hire, and it didn't work out. So we move on to the next guy. That happens with a lot of teams.
It happens.
You also say, I hope the new O-line coach does better than the last. Absolutely, right? But it also takes us being healthy.
Exactly.
But missing on people and he says on here, now I don't necessarily want to say we missed on Bradbury. Bradbury seems to be doing better, but I think a lot of us can agree that we always thought that Bradbury was kind of undersized as well too.
Yeah.
As far as Ingram goes, yeah, that absolutely could have been a coaching thing there. To see him doing so well in Houston that's depressing. Yeah, that's depressing.
You can't call a guy a bust if he has a second contract in the NFL.
Absolutely.
That's my rule. So he's not a bust. And I was a big Ingram guy.
Yeah. Tech Jet, I have a question. And we kind of gave up a little too soon, I think, on Ingram too. But
yeah, me too.
Obviously we can look at that hindsight and we can say, I think we get,
Yeah, we got to move forward now. We got to move forward and fix the team for the future. And we can't make the same mistakes we did in the past over again, because I feel like if they make the same mistakes they made in the past, now somebody has to be talked about to get fired. So, I mean, as of right now with the draft on Thursday, you already know I was a big Quasi guy, but I have to move. We got to move on. It's time to move on. We can't keep going, reaching back and saying, it is what it is. We got to be able to trust Rob or whoever comes in here as the GM to fix this team. We got to trust Kevin O'Connell as a coach to come in here and actually pivot to be a whole lot better, because, hey, a lot of the people in the building, their jobs on the line. So we can't cry over spilled milk at this point anymore. We got to keep it moving.
Tech Jedi is wondering why the league is so bent on praising KOC like he's top 5 coach. I mean, you got to look at the seasons, and the season that he's had some really good seasons, and he's been able to be successful with other quarterbacks in seasons, at least for stretches, when we had injuries. And then you take a look at the year prior to last year with Sam Darnold. That was a season that I think we thought was going to be a bust, and it ended up being a pretty good season. Now we didn't do that great as far as playoffs go. The season didn't end well, but as far as the season and getting 14 wins, he's also had a 13-win season. You get coach of the year. So he's got some accolades there, but yes, he has not gotten it done in the playoffs. And at least I would say for sure last year, criticism as far as play calling, I can totally agree with.
Yeah.
Before that, I wouldn't say that there was that much except for, hey, we need to run the ball more. But last year I think really showed some warts, and I think it's, obviously, especially us as fans, what recently happened is going to be a lot fresher in our mind.
Right.
So he does have still a winning record as a coach. I don't think it's something that we should have fired him this year for. But yeah, the seat's getting a little bit hotter as far as who you have and trying to groom a quarterback, and now you're switching to Kyler Murray. So we're not grooming and developing a rookie quarterback the way that we should. Are we pivoting? We'll see, or whether we're saying he just needs more time, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. And I think whoever comes in as GM, whether it's somebody from the outside or if it's Rob, that's going to play into how hot that seat is and how the season goes.
True. And like I really want to clear up some things with the Kevin O'Connell situation, right? So people have to understand that Kevin O'Connell is at a spot in his career where it's a fork in the road. He can either go this way or he can go that way. This is going to be a determining factor season for Kevin O'Connell. Is he going to be able to right the ship? Is he going to be able to change a little bit of his coaching style and lean on his assistant coaches to help with the offense? Is he going to be a better play caller? All the things you said in a nutshell, it's all a pivot year for Kevin O'Connell. And the thing
Right.
with coaches, some coaches don't get the benefit of having a year like this to kind of like right their ship. They have a bad year and they get fired. You get what I'm saying? Like I never understood that. So even though like I have my gripes against Kevin O'Connell and some things about Kevin O'Connell, his coaching staff and things he says I don't like, I do understand like how important this year is for him as a coach. And I can see that's the reason why, he brought in Frank Smith and other guys on the offense to help the situation now,
Right.
because he can kind of he knows that he's on the hot seat and he has to do something to actually change to not just make this team better, but actually him to become a better coach. Like if you look at all like the great coaches in history, they have seasons to where they have a down year, but then they're able to tweak things and change it and get back up. This is the year Kevin O'Connell has to do that. And then, if in my opinion, if he doesn't do that, then we can really have that conversation with, hey, who's our next coach? Because he had the opportunity to change it and he didn't. So,
Nope, can't disagree with that at all. And it's gonna be interesting because I think we need to at least make the playoffs.
yes, win a
You
game,
know,
win a playoff game too.
I think it depends on how the season goes. Like, let's just say that we're doing well. Kyler Murray gets injured, and then JJ McCarthy has to come in, and he does okay, or does well. He's developing. We make it to the playoffs. And how do we lose that game if we
True.
lose? If we lose that first round playoff game, I think how we lose and what the entirety of the season looks like is going to play into that. But yes, I mean, obviously, he needs to win a game.
Yeah, he
He's
does.
the only NFC North coach without a playoff win.
A playoff win. Yeah.
So you got to get it done at some point. I think this is a pivotal year, but I don't know. It's a new quarterback trying to learn a new offense as well too. I don't know if I can say like he has to win a playoff game. We should want that and expect him to get
Mhm.
there. I just think it's different. I think if JJ McCarthy was the quarterback this year,
Okay.
um, I think it would be different expectations than with Kyler. I think with Kyler, you absolutely have, if he's healthy, then yes, I agree with you. You need to win a playoff game. But if for some reason he gets injured, we have the injuries like we did last year, when our offensive line was just decimated throughout the entire year.
Hmm.
Uh, if that kind of plagues us, and that's the reason why we're unsuccessful, up front or a big piece. I think that plays into, hey, that's why we didn't win, not because, coaching.
And that's why this draft is so important, and this offseason is really important overall, because it's like this. It's hold on, my kids are just running around. Hey, y'all stop.
I get that.
so like if Kevin O'Connell has a lot of input on this year's draft, right? It's like he should be trying to put more depth on this roster, right? To where if your offensive line does go down with multiple players, we have somebody to come in and play. So I'm not saying all of it's on Kevin O'Connell, it's on the organization in general, but we got to see what's going to happen with this draft, and the depth for this roster, really starts there, because they didn't do much in the offseason. They didn't go out and sign the big names. They didn't. So what they do in this year's draft is going to dictate what's going on.
Tech Jedi, your comment. I just thought he was brought in, and you're talking about KOC to finally get a young franchise quarterback to develop. I don't think necessarily that's true, because we brought in KOC when we were still riding with Kirk. And I think at that time, it wasn't necessarily, hey, we're ready to pivot quite yet at that time. Now, the belief was that he could develop a quarterback, and with the whole quarterback whisperer thing and all that.
That was
absolutely.
him.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
That was him.
Absolutely. And he had a big part to play in the JJ McCarthy piece. Now, we tried trading up, and, I do firmly believe that Drake May was the guy that he wanted, not JJ McCarthy. But, you're not going to come out and say, like, well, I guess I'll settle for leftovers. You're not going to say that. You're going to support, who's the next best guy out there, or who you could get, and try to mold him into, a franchise quarterback, because you gotta coach who you got, right, and who you're able to get. And I think, should we have just waited a draft? You could argue that of whether or not we should have drafted him if we didn't think he was the guy, but we did that, and we did that not only with Kwesi, we did that with Kevin O'Connell saying, I think he can be the guy.
Now I gotta clear this up too, because I see the guys in the comments, and I know where Tech Jai is going. So look, you got to understand that every season that you have in the NFL is connected. They are. What you do in one season is going to predict where your draft status is going to be. If we rewind back and we go to the year when Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles or whatever, the team kind of was frantic. They went out there and won a couple of games, and they actually tank their draft status. Now, that was the draft that they would have been able to, draft high in the draft if they would have just said, hey, play the young players and see what happens. But they didn't, right? So now I do agree that Kevin O'Connell was brought in here to identify, develop a quarterback, because he is the complete opposite of Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer was a defensive guy. Kevin O'Connell was an offensive guy, right? So you have to understand, like, the narrative and what's going on in Minnesota right now, Jedi. When you have a guy that's basically on the hot seat, I don't know how hot that seat is. You're going to do certain things to kind of protect your job. Kyler Murray signing is one of those things to protect Kevin O'Connell's job, because we don't want what happened last year with having to play Max Brosmer happening again. That's why you have McCarthy. That's why you have Wentz. That's why you have Kyler Murray, and to a certain extent, Max Brosmer. So that's why, when I say this is a pivotal season for the Vikings and for Kevin O'Connell as a coach, that a lot of questions are going to be answered throughout this season. And sometimes you just gonna have to sit here and we're gonna have to ride it out. We are really going to have to ride this out. Kevin O'Connell has to make better decisions for this franchise long term if he wants to continue to be the coach. That's just how it is. You're going to year 5. It's year 5 now, right? And I always do the comparison of Mike Zimmer in year 4. We were already competing for the NFC title game.
Arguably, we should have been the Sam Darnold year.
Yeah, so it's kind of like hey, like we gotta do something. We need some results.
Absolutely. Hey, welcome into the chat, in the zone sports. If you guys aren't following him, he's really active, especially with his pods as well too. So go check out Zoe with In the Zone Sports. Thanks for joining us as well. Too evil. McCarthy is meant to clean toilets, not throw passes. Man,
He's always trolling, man. Too evil, man. You always trolling, man. I'm gonna just create. I'm gonna create me a new YouTube page, and I'm gonna call it maybe like Too Nice or something to be the complete opposite of Too Evil. So since Too Evil says all the crazy stuff, I'm gonna just go in the chat and say all the positive stuff, just to, because just to troll him back. That's what he's doing.
That's funny stuff. All right, topic 3. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the NFC North draft needs. So I already told you, if you're not planning on coming, make sure you check out. We're gonna be live round 1 coverage. I'm gonna have several individuals, writers, fans, maybe even yourself, to come in, talk throughout the draft, the entire draft. I'm gonna start at 5:30, talk about it. I'm gonna do the full 32 team analysis through the picks with a focus on the Vikings and the NFC North. So as we take a look at this, with the NFC North, let's take a look at the first round picks and the draft needs for every team here real quick. I'm going to turn off that bottom ticker so we can see Chicago's picks as well too. So we can see Detroit, their first round pick, they're picking at 17 right before us. So a potential snipe situation going on here. But they need a tackle, defensive lineman, linebacker. That's what they're looking for. They got several picks in this draft as well. Minnesota, you see our picks. We talked about how there's a big gap. 97 to 163. It's a huge gap now having that 4th round pick. So, and again, we're targeting, running back, safety, inside defensive lineman, so a defensive tackle type position. Center is a need. Cornerback's another need for us. A lot of holes that we're trying to get younger. We're trying to, hopefully out of these first 4 picks, or if we acquire more, we'll see what happens with Grenard. We'll see if we trade back. I think we're more likely to trade back than trade up. And I think, ultimately we need at least 3 out of those 4 picks to probably become eventual starters, if not this year, but in year 2. We need to get younger. There's a lot of contracts that are coming off the books after this year. And this is the start of getting younger. We need to get younger through the draft. Green Bay, they don't have a first round pick. Their first pick is at number 52. They're looking for guards. They're also looking for cornerbacks and defensive linemen, inside defensive linemen, and linebacker. Chicago, they're picking at 25, and they're looking for a center as well too. So could we see them trying to target somebody like a Connor Lew, Slaughter, maybe trying to snipe us with like a Logan Jones, situation there too. So they could take one of those centers off the board in round 3. They're also looking for a defensive lineman and a safety. So those are the different team needs and the picks. It's always nice to at least look at the amount of picks that Minnesota has, and instead of seeing 5 up there,
Right.
we see that we have a healthy group of 9 different picks at least to start the draft to work with, whether it be draft capital to move up, or potentially moving back and acquiring even more so we can get younger and better through the draft. When you take a look at this, D Woods, just what's your initial reaction seeing the different team needs and where everyone's drafted and what kind of picks they got right now?
So off top, Detroit, they're going tackle. That's what they need. They got to solidify their offensive line. We're going to talk about Minnesota in depth, but Green Bay,
thanks a lot.
Guard, interior defensive line and linebacker. Yeah, I can see them doing that. I can actually see them taking a corner first, because look at the division. They got to be able to stop guys. Now, Chicago for center, I think they're going to get center probably late. But what Chicago actually needs is more players on defense. That defense is not up to snuff.
And they lost some people through free agency. They lost Brisker,
Edmund,
right.
So I can see them pulling defense on their maybe like their first couple of picks, because offensive side of the ball is kind of like already what it is. I mean, even though they lost DJ Moore. That's kind of addition by subtraction, in my opinion. That gives the younger guys more burn on the roster. You know, the Luther Burton and Roma Doomsday, Cole Kmet, you know, like all those young pass catchers over there. DJ Moore is not in their way anymore. So that's cool, but yeah.
It's not on here, but something to consider. I mean, DJ Moore is no longer on the Bears, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could be in a situation like we are, where we don't know what it looks like. You know, is Jordan Addison going to be on this team after this year? We don't know that. You know, we don't know who's going to be our number 3 receiver. So we're
Right.
also, even though it's not on there, one of our needs and also Chicago's needs is going after a wide receiver in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they could be, we see a couple of these different positions, you know, whether it be center, whether it be inside defensive lineman, or safety, you know, we're even just inside the NFC North. Some of these guys that we've done mock drafts with that we really like, we could see them going to our division rivals and absolutely hating that
Yeah.
individual because they're playing for the Packers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you do mock drafts a lot, you get so tied up with the players. Like you want your team to draft them so bad,
And you fall in
and
love with them,
then
right? You do all that research.
And then you see them go to the other team, and you're like, okay, you don't want to be one of those guys like, oh, I never liked them anyway. But you go back and look about all your mock drafts. You've been picking this guy every time. Like, yeah, that's probably how it will feel like about Jadarian Price. If Jadarian Price goes in our division, I'd be upset. Like, come on now. Come on.
Absolutely. And hey, I want to give a shout out, Larson Christopher. Hey, sub from you. I appreciate that. And Red Wing, shout out from Red Wing. Hey, thanks. I appreciate you joining the stream first time. That's awesome. And what I will say is, as we get up with subs, I plan on doing some giveaways, especially throughout the season. I actually got some autographed jerseys that I plan on doing, and maybe even some cards throughout the season for Vikings. So make sure that you're checking it out. And those that I'm doing for giveaways, I plan to do for actual subscribers of my YouTube channel. So make sure, if you're not already subscribing, make sure that you're doing that. So I'll probably, once I get it in here, because I got several jerseys coming, once I get them here, I plan on doing that announcement as far as what some of these sub goals are, and doing some giveaways throughout the season. So
Cool.
thanks for joining. I definitely appreciate it. That's awesome, Larson. All right. So now, before we get into it, because I'm going to make you do it one more time with me. I know, but it's the final one. It's the final one. I didn't get to catch all of yours and Zoe's.
Okay.
So but before we get into it,
I'm ready.
All right. Yeah, we've done enough of these, right?
Yeah.
We kind of have an idea of what that looks like. You guys could chime in on chat. So, yeah, Tech says, my game every time Vikings turn over the ball, I'm going to take a drink and say D Woods this entire season.
Hey, you can, man.
Hey, hopefully you're doing that because the Vikings got a turnover.
Right.
And then you could do that. Hopefully that's what we're doing this season, and we're doing it the other way, Tech. Because I'd like to see, and actually we did really well as far as takeaways go this year. It's just we didn't have the offense to capitalize on it, and that's where it just didn't feel like we had as many takeaways. It's because we didn't do anything with them, and it wasn't as impactful. But we had a pretty stout defense this year. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to move into that final mock draft I'm going to do before next Thursday when we go live for round 1. So, D Woods is going to help me out here. We're going to do this one together. And I'm really excited for this. I mean, I want you to have a little bit more say, but I'd like to kind of talk it out with you and kind of see where your head's at. And let me just pop this up here.
Everybody knows second round, 49.
All right. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to set this up. Now, I'll leave it up to you. We're going to do 7 rounds. I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to do a trade before the draft starts?
Let's make it spicy. let's do this.
Okay.
Let's trade Brian O'Neill and Jonathan Grenard. Let's do that and see if we can get some replacements. We gotta make it interesting.
All right.
We can just do one. We could just do one.
Can I do a veto on Brian O'Neill? He's announcing our first 2 draft picks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love O'Neill too. I just want to make it spicy. But Bernard,
all right, that would be the most brutal thing to ever do to a player. Trade him during the draft. He's announcing your first 2 draft picks.
I remember watching ESPN back in the day, and this is when Keyshawn Johnson would do ESPN during the offseason when he was still playing, and he was playing with the Panthers for like at this time. So he's talking. He's like, "Yeah, we got a good team with the Panthers, and I'm the veteran receiver over there. Boom, boom, boom. Pick in the draft is the receiver from USC, and he goes, "Well, that's my job."
Oh my gosh!
Like, and it was live. The look on his face was like he did not see that. But okay, let's trade Grenard. We can trade Grenard to either New England, Philadelphia, Tennessee, all those defensive-minded coaches, basically.
Let's try Philly first, just because Philly's kind of been the name that's hot with them right now, and I think something that's probably gonna get that done is we're probably gonna be closer to doing something with either 54 or 68, and I think so one of the things that we could do, I don't think that's gonna work. If we want a 54, we probably got to throw in 97, or we could go for 68, and maybe even get 197 with it.
So we can do some pick swaps. We can take the 197 and actually I would ask for the 137. Ask for the 137, take off the 197, and then maybe that 234 or the
196.
196 would be good. There you go. Just give them that back and see if they okay it. Okay, so they're not cool with that. So try to throw in another one. Either the last pick in the draft. It's not going to matter for us. There we go. Oh, they're not dealing today.
They don't like that.
They don't like that. So that's the 68. But I know we can get that for the 98 though. The 98. If we take the 98 and the 137 and just give them the 196 back, they might.
Like we need. I feel like we need at least.
Yeah.
Man, I mean that seems like we're getting
a good deal. I'm okay with that because they still got to pay him. That's the thing about it is like they still have to pay him when he gets there.
I mean, look at this. They'd give us all of their picks. I feel like we're getting shafted there.
For the
what if we did 68 and 178 and threw them 244?
Yeah, but we still got the gap after the 97.
We do, but you're getting early third.
Let's do it. We might find another trade.
Oh my gosh. You gotta be kidding me. 64% chance? We're still getting denied?
Come on, Howie. What are you doing? Give him the 130.
It's
234. Man.
Killing me. Oh my gosh.
Next team, because we only got one more attempt.
All right, right there. We can give him 196. All right, there we go.
There we go.
Holy cows. Howie's stingy.
Come on, Howie's stingy, man. Come on now.
Howie is stingy. All right, so we're getting into the first pick, and we're seeing that, and this is already updated. So this part's at least awesome. So the Dexter Lawrence trade goes through. You're no longer seeing the Bengals on the board at 10. It's the New York Giants that now have pick 10.
Fast. Good
fast.
Job.
That's crazy. So yeah.
Who did they take at 5?
So pick 4, Jeremiah Love went off the board.
See,
Ruben
I don't.
Bain is who
why would they put another edge rusher? They have 3. They have Thibodeau. They have I forgot Abdul Carter, and they have Brian Burns. They
Well,
would
I had heard that they were looking to deal Thibodeau though.
Thibodeau. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
So that could be why.
Yeah, that could be why.
But again, these are, there's still no Dylan Thiedemann. He's off the board. He's been rumored towards us. Kenyan Sadiq's off the board. A spicy option would have been Jordan Tyson and going early there. But he's also off the board. So who we're looking at is Monroe Freeling, Jermon McCoy, Akeem Messidor, McNeil Warren, Terrell. And then again, you still have all your inside defensive tackles still on the board with McDonald and Peter Woods.
And we have no trade. Well, we got 6 trade offers. How far
now,
are they?
There are several trade offers that we could do here. So 20 and 26, both of those look good.
I like
as far as trying to do that.
Yeah, because if whoever you're trying to target is still going to be there. I'm wondering if Dallas is targeting Jermon McCoy. I like Jermon McCoy. I think he'd be great. If we trade with Dallas, what can we get back?
Dallas does need a corner, so you could be onto something there. It might be too early for them looking for a defensive. So you're probably right. I mean, they're probably looking at Jermon McCoy on the board and interested in that.
But then we can follow that back up with Avion Terrell because he's still down there too.
We could. Yep.
So, but we can fleece Dallas and probably get something from that.
You could pick up 92. Still a third rounder. If we ended up going with the Bills, let's just take a look to see what that would look like. We could definitely get, and you could pick up a 4th rounder.
Oh, I like that one.
You could pick, oh man.
You can pick a lot.
Yeah. I doubt they would give you all of that.
Yeah,
but,
they won't do that.
But let's just say that they would give us these 3 picks if we're being realistic.
I say Dallas. I like Dallas.
Okay.
I like Dallas because we're not moving down so much.
Okay.
Because we already they'll take it.
Just see if we could throw in another one in there. It's just 2 picks. I mean, I really don't think you're going to get more than 20 and 92.
Exactly. Because it's
off of that. Okay, let's resume the draft.
Yeah, that's what they took. That's exactly who they took.
Jermon McCoy.
That's exactly who they took. That's exactly who they took.
Now, I mean, guys that we still like. I mean, if we wanted to go that early, I think that there's other options. Me personally, I do like Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I possibly even like him better than Thiedemann, to be honest with you. I feel like he flips his hips a little bit better in coverage than Thiedemann does. Thiedemann's more of a run stopper in the box type player. He's better at doing that than he is in coverage.
Okay.
As far as you said, Avian Terrell, he's still on the board. You still have the ability, for any of your inside defensive line guys. So again, I wanted you to have more of the say than me, but I'm just adding some flavor in here.
I think at this point you traded down. You got another pick in the draft, a 3rd round, which is good. I would go with the corner with Terrell at this point because he gives you. We only got 3 corners on this roster right now. Like that's pretty much all we got. I'm not big on McNeil Warren for some of the reasons that it's kind of similar to Josh Metellus' role, and we already have a Josh Metellus on the roster. So I'm not saying he's not a good player, but the value on this team is a little bit different opposed to other teams. I think
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I think that there's other safeties in this draft that you can take with, like saving the value. For me personally, I like either taking, if you think Terrell's going to be the guy, I'm okay with that. I really like trading back myself personally for defensive tackle, but I'm good with this too.
I say we take Terrell because we got the 20 and then we got the 49, the 68, 82, 92. We're not going to get a bona fide day 1 starter corner after Terrell. It's going to be a drop off. He's the last one.
Okay, so we're going with Avion Terrell. Next pick is number 49. We just saw D'Angelo Pons just went off the board right before us, and Lee Hunter.
right before us.
Those are two big names. Brandon Sissy is also off the board from South Carolina at pick 43. So who we're looking at is Chris Johnson, who also is a pretty decent corner, and Keith Abney still on the board. So there were some corner options at 49, but I think you're looking in a different realm as far as at this pick. Now, something I would point at. So you and Zoe, when you guys did your draft, you guys ended up going with Jadarian Price here.
Jadarian Price.
And I didn't watch your entire draft. This is if it was me. So I'm just wondering, he could still be there. But Mike Washington Jr. versus Jadarian Price. Just real quick, why do you like Jadarian Price, or why do you maybe favor him over Mike Washington? The only thing I fear is, sitting behind Love, we've seen limited Jadarian Price. So Mike Washington, we know he can run. We know he can block. We know that he can be a route runner and pass catcher.
The thing with Jadarian Price coming into this team right now, he gives you like the ability. He can pass catch out the backfield. Also, he has a lot of pop. He has a lot of explosion. He has a second gear to kind of like break that 60-yard touchdown if you want to. And also with the wiggleness that he does have, he can play dual roles where he can be on the kickoff or the punt return. And that's somewhere where we don't necessarily think about it. But with the way the kickoff rules are now, with the dynamic kickoff, whatever they call it right now, we still haven't found a guy that can stay back there and actually give us some pop. I mean, I know we had Price out there last year, and we didn't get enough from it. And I just think that Jadarian Price adds a lot of value to this team, because I don't see Aaron Jones being the running back for the future after this season. Aaron Jones is basically always hurt for multiple games with the Minnesota Vikings. And I think that Jordan Mason is your short yardage back that can basically move the pile. We need some kind of explosion in the running back room. And I just believe that if Jadarian Price would have played for any other team last year outside of Notre Dame, and with the year that, Jeremiah Love had, we will be talking about him a whole lot more, and maybe even being a first rounder. But he's not, because he was the backup, which is okay with me, because that means he doesn't take a lot. He didn't take a lot of hits last year.
Right. There's not a whole lot of miles on there.
He doesn't have a lot of miles.
If you look at the stream, I'm with you.
Don't forget to pick, Rob.
Don't forget, no matter what. So I'm with you on a running back. Like we got to draft a running back. I'm with you there.
I'm just saying, like,
and I'm okay with either Price or Washington. The only thing I wonder is, like, depending on who was here, like, let's just say Will Hunter would have been here at this pick. I'd be tempted to go Will Hunter and then Mike Washington. But he's not here. So that changes it for me. I mean, AJ Halsey's here, and we already got our corner, so I'm not really looking at Chris Johnson or Abney.
That would be huge, though. If we can take a guy like AJ Halsey, that solidifies, the defensive back room, like, all the way. There's a guy on here too that I do also like, that plays corner and safety. Stooks from Arizona. He's trading Stooks. He's there also. So, he's not, by the time we get to the 68, he's probably going to be gone. So this to me, the second round pick is a tough spot, because
it is,
because like, if you don't take a guy that you fell in love with, he is not going to be there the next time you draft.
This will be really telling to see how the rest of our draft goes. I think 49 is going to be interesting, because if we don't take a defensive tackle in the first round, I think it's going to be interesting. And like we did here, I think if Lee Hunter was still on the board here in the second round, I like Lee Hunter. And then I'm okay with whether it's Emmett Johnson or it ends up being Mike Washington Jr. I'm okay with that if we solidified with, like, somebody that we feel like could be a long-time starter.
Okay.
Just because I don't know if there's enough gap between a Mike Washington and Jadarian Price to be like, that's all I'm saying.
So you see that guard that's right there from Texas A&M,
Chase Pasantis. Yep.
right? So it's always an issue with me. Like
Mhm.
Will Fry's contract is basically null and void after next season. You can get out of it and only pay about $4 million, with the cap hit. So you have to play him next year. I'm not saying you you bring in Chase right now to start this season,
Yeah.
but you could draft him high at 49 this year, sit him in the background, allow him to develop, and then next thing you know, you got two young guards on the Minnesota Vikings. I
Now,
mean, it's
if the
it's
trades
like
happen like we did it, we
yeah,
traded Grenard. Now, if you look at the chat, Broski Bear says, if you trade Grenard to the Eagles, I will not be happy. We did that in the scenario,
you did.
but I get what you're saying. But if we ended up doing a trade back and we acquired 2 more picks in the third, a second and the third, that's huge. That's
Huge.
absolutely huge, and you can fill some different positions, and you're definitely onto something there, to where we could absolutely go with Chase Pasantis, and then you could look for running back possibly with your next pick,
Yeah,
and fill a hole there.
and fill a hole.
Absolutely,
Because I'm just always
absolutely.
thinking about having guys. I don't want to go into like I don't always want to go into a draft saying that you have to draft the guy because there's a need on the team. Like this is the whole BPA scenario to where it's like, yeah, he might not play this year, but if we get him next year, we ain't got to worry about it. We ain't got to worry about next year. We can get him now. So that's just a possibility how I look at it too. Because I do like a tackle from from Miami, Markel Bell. We can get him in like the 4th, 5th round because like just
Sure.
take a flyer and see what happens, But
From who's on here, you've talked about you like Chase Pasantis, you like AJ Halsey, and you like Jadarian Price. Those are the 3 names that you
those
talked
are the
about
3
the
names.
most.
Yeah.
So who would you like to pick here? And you still have 68, 82, 92, and 97 here on day 2.
What do you want to do, Steve? What do you want to do? What do you think?
I mean, you picked up a corner. I'm okay grabbing Jadarian Price. I do like that. If we did it, but you're throwing some things at me that also makes me think. I think if Lee Hunter was here, for me, it's Lee Hunter,
Okay.
but he's not on the board.
Okay.
So that changes some things. I like the AJ Halsey idea too. He's a guy that I've been high on, and
Dennis
you
is
could
still
possibly
out
go
there.
Mike Washington at
Yeah.
68.
Right.
I think that's like 2 bangers back to back, where I think I feel like we have future starters with our first 3 picks.
Let's go. I'm switching it up. Let's go Halsey. Let's go Halsey and see if Mike Washington drops to the 68.
Okay.
Let's go Halsey and see. Because that defense would be great. Let's see what happens.
And he's still on the board.
He's still on the board. He's still on the board.
He's still on the board.
He's still on the board.
So Mike Washington Jr. is hanging out here. Another player that's been mocked to us, or at least attached to us, has been Dominique Orange or Grayson Halton. They've also been linked to us at this pick or around this area as well too. But I like the idea, me personally, and I'm not saying we have to go there. Romello Heights here as well. But I like the idea that we just got, our potential starting corner,
and
a new safety, and we could potentially get our running back of the future here with Mike Washington Jr.
Let's do it. Let's go with Mike Washington. Let's do it.
That's sexy right there.
There we go.
All right. So looking at our picks, we got Avion Terrell, AJ Halsey, and Mike Washington Jr. so far. And right now, Romello Height just went off the board. Anthony Hill went off the board, and Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis is another linebacker out of Pitt that has also been linked to us. All right, so we still have on day 2, we still have 82, 92, and 97. So we still got 3 more picks coming to us. We know center's a need. We see Connor Liu that's still on the board. Sam Hecht, Jake Slaughter, all the centers are still on the board. Logan Jones. So I don't feel like we have to take a center here. There's 10 picks before our next 10. Are all 4 centers going to be off the board before 92?
What does that interior D line look like?
Let's take a look. So Corleone is available. I've had him mocked to us as well before. I don't know a whole lot about Rayshon Benny. I'll be honest. I really
Me
don't.
neither.
6'4",
Caleb Proctor's there.
305. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. I don't see, he's got a couple sacks. I don't know if his hurry numbers are that great. Corleone, he's a stuffer. Corleone is absolutely he's going to clog up the middle. That's what he does. He's 6'1", 335. The dude clogs it up.
Okay. I think it's too early for that. It's we have a 92 and 97. We can probably get him at 92.
Go for Corleone. Yeah, absolutely. You see where his mock is right now?
Yeah,
absolutely.
we can probably get Corleone at 92. Right now,
Max Clare, a tight end, could be available here.
I think
wide receiver is also a need. Let's take a look at wide receivers real quick.
Ted Hurst.
Ted Hurst is available here.
Hurst is right there. But I do like Malachi Fields, though. I do like Malachi Fields also. So and then Stribling is right there too.
Now, Ted Hurst, we've had a meeting with him. I don't believe we've met with Malachi Fields.
No.
Dazon Stribling has been. I think we have a meeting set up with Stribling coming up.
Yeah, we do.
So Hurst and Stribling are 2 wide receivers that are linked to us.
So Stribling he's projected at the 112. Mm-hmm. We can probably mess around if we want a receiver. We can probably mess around and get Stribling at the 97. I think right now, these next 2 picks, we have to go interior D-line or center. Because if we don't go interior D-line or center right now, the centers are going to run off the board. Right now, we have the pick of the litter for the centers right now.
We do.
Right now, we can pick Heck, we can pick Jones, we can pick Lou. I mean, I'm not even sure if Jake Slaughter is still there. So
all of them are.
All of them are still there. I just know for a fact, like for me doing all these mocks, that if we don't take a center like in this sweet spot right now, by the time we get to 97, they're all going to be gone. And we're going to be having to reach or, try to find a center somewhere else. So I think
which center would you like to go with? I think Connor Liu has always been, ranked or at least mocked higher. And he's at least looked as the number 1 center in this draft.
He's right there.
Sam Hecht and Slaughter are close, tied seconds, and then Logan Jones is the next one.
Yeah, he's right there. Connor Liu is right there for the taking. Solidify the center, man.
All right, there it is, Connor Liu.
And we're back on the board.
I mean, the way that if it works out, just looking at this would look like, hey, we hit home runs with our first 4 picks. That's how I'd be feeling.
So right now we're at the 92, and look, 92. See, Jake Slaughter is still there. We already got a corner. So what did I say? The interior D line. What does the interior D line look now?
Broski says Hecht is nasty time. I agree. He didn't allow a single hurry or sack.
True.
Last year. I do like Hecht as well. I don't think you're going wrong with Lou or Hecht at that position. Northfield says I like Stribling over Fields.
Over Fields, okay.
Okay. You
got to visit with Vikings. So
yeah, and Fields just went off the board, so he's no longer available at this point, anyways. So Fields and Ramsey are off the board as far as key individuals here. So we're at pick 92. Ted Hurst is still on the board.
There. And there's my guy right there, Markel Bell, the tackle.
But you still have pick 97.
Yeah, we do. We do. What does the linebackers look like?
I think it's probably too early to take a linebacker right here, just with who's available.
Yeah.
Deshaun Elliott, Deontay Lawson, Bryce Botcher. Yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at there.
Okay. Okay. So what about the
Now,
interior corner
linebacker is a need at some point in
at some
here.
point?
And now we still haven't done anything with interior defensive. So Corleone's here, and again, we could still get Corleone if we want to do 97. But I think here at 92, I think we have the pick of who we want at wide receiver.
Yeah. Let's
And
go with
I still think you're going to get either your tackle or your inside defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Here with this pick
let's go.
with
If we're gonna
97
go,
is what I mean.
if we're gonna go receiver, let's go. Ted Hurst is right there. Ted Hurst is right there. But we can get Stribling later.
So we've been linked to Ted Hurst. We've been linked to Stribling.
Let's
you
take
know, so
man. There's Stribling right there. They're bigger too.
Ted Hurst is bigger than Stribling. Ted
What you
Hurst
thinking,
is
Steve?
6'3".
I like the big boundary receiver on the outside.
Yeah.
We don't have that on this roster.
I kind of like Ted Hurst. I mean, he's staring right at us. I feel like that's a gimme.
Let's go with Ted Hurst.
I feel like that's a layup for us at this point with who's available.
Yeah.
I think we'd be feeling pretty good with that at this
point. We're back on the board.
We're back on the board. All right. So Jonah Coleman just went off the board. Rashawn Benny. So if we were going to look at your tackles still here, Markel Bell, that you like. I know I've seen Jayshawn Barham mock to us as well because we did get rid of Grenard. So that is now a need as well, too. So something to consider. So Barham is there. And then still Corleone is available if we were looking at here. Hold on one second. I think I can do edge. Oh, my gosh. I keep doing that.
Corleone.
There we go. Edge and tackle. Okay, so that's what it's looking at.
Markel Bell.
I think these three players are probably who we're looking at.
Now bring up Markel Bell.
163.
I want to show everybody how big this dude is.
6'9", 345. Those are some big arms on that guy, I'm sure, too.
And he's a tackle, too. That's on the outside, man.
Rare
Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big guy.
That's a house. That's a big guy. That's a big guy.
Now, if we draft Markel Bell here,
we know we're
also signaling that, well, I shouldn't say it's signaling that Brian O'Neill's on the outs. It could also signal that depending on how healthy Darisaw decides to stay, you know. Now, does Markel Bell play left tackle or right tackle?
I think he plays the right.
That I don't know.
I think PFF has it up there. Snaps. There he is right there.
Yeah, he's a left tackle. Left. So if you draft him, I mean, not saying he can't play right, but, you know, we don't know how healthy Darisaw is going to be either.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I want Darisaw to be healthy. I want him to be the guy. But
you got to have insurance.
Yep. So
and if Darisaw's healthy, you just move him to the right.
Let's take a look at Barham just real quick here, too. He's just the guy that was mocked to us as well, too. So you're looking at him. He's 6'3", 243.
Larson said, draft the tackle.
What's chat think here? Hold on. Larson, draft the tackle. Who else? Broski says, look at tight end.
We can get tight end next year in the draft.
Let me see here. Well, I think my tight end's coming, possibly at 163. But yeah, Koziel is who I like, but that I think we'll be able to get at 163. But Dante Corleone or Markel Bell, I think is kind of where I'm at. Now we did just signed, and I'm forgetting his name. He plays more guard than tackle out of the Buffalo Bills. We did just sign him this offseason.
Right. You need depth there, and tackles are expensive. Tackles are expensive.
You tell me who you want to go with, boss.
Let's go with the tackle.
All right, D Wood says let's go with Bell.
Go with the tackle.
Larson says let's go with Bell. All right, so we're at 163. We still need tight end. We still need inside defensive tackle.
Yep.
Or defensive tackle, and we still need a linebacker as some of the big positions that we need. Taking a look at the board, who just went off. Prysock is another one that we've liked, but he's not on the board here anymore. Let's just take a look at some of the names that are available at this position. We see Coleman Jr. and actually Michael Taff. I actually kind of like him as well. Julian Neal. Hezekiah Massis is a name that I've heard a lot. Jeff Caldwell. But let's take a look at tight end.
Oh, okay.
Because my guy, Tanner Koziel, is still here. We don't have to take him at 163, but I want to make you aware. Tanner Koziel is for sure with these next two picks at 6'7", 250.
That's a tight end.
And this guy, look at this. Targets. Holy cows. This guy catches balls. And could you imagine a 6'7" tight end in the back of the end zone?
Yes.
And all I'm thinking is Rudolph.
Yeah.
Catching the back of the end zone, and you just throw that sucker up there. Big, tall guy. Good luck trying to out-jump and outmaneuver a 6'7" Tanner Koziel, who is a ball catcher.
Yeah, we can get him.
This guy had two drops. Two drops last year. Look at this. 2 drops. So the guy can catch the ball at 6'7". This guy is a walking red zone threat.
Broski Bear said Delp is better. Yeah, he might be better. You got Cuevas. So we can get, he's projected to 198. So we can probably get him at the 178.
Correct.
On the safe side. So what do we do right here? Interior D-line?
Well, K-Part's available. Let's take a look at. Let's go ahead and do this. Bo Kersher is available. K-Part, Regis. So these look to be Brevard, Durant. Let's take a look at K-Part here real quick.
Okay.
There's a 6'5", 315. Big dude in the middle.
I like it.
Go with K-Part here.
Run stuffer. That's what we need.
All right. We're going to go with K-Part here. And I'm praying that my Koziel is still there. Tanner Koziel is still there.
Take him. Take your tight end. There we go.
And now linebacker. We still got 3 more picks. Linebacker is still a need. We could look at guard as well, too, as you mentioned.
Yeah, guard.
So let's take a look at.
Let me see something real quick. Go to the running backs.
And let me add linebacker in here, too.
Is Nick Singleton still available?
No, he's gone.
He's gone? Okay.
I think he went off in the 4th round.
Okay.
4th or 5th round, he went off. I think 5th round he went off.
Okay.
But
there's a guard right there.
Michael Morris. Is that what you're looking at?
Michael Morris from Georgia. Hey, Broski, who's a guard we should be looking at right now?
6'4", 330.
I mean, even though you're taking this guard so late in the
He's a
draft,
3-year starter for Georgia.
like oh, it's a flyer. He's not coming in to be a starter right now. He's not to work his way up. But this team needs depth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with this team. They need depth.
Well, I like the idea of a Micah Morris 3-year starter, a big dude at guard. You can play 3 years and start 3 years
In the
at
SEC,
Georgia.
right?
You're probably decent at
Yeah.
the position.
Broski Bear said Drew Sheldon. He said, look at Drew Sheldon.
Drew Shelton. Let's take a look.
He said he can play guard also. I think he's a tackle.
Oh, yeah, I have it sorted right now. My bad. He may not be on the board.
Broski, he's gone.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he's gone already.
Yeah, we might have to take that guard. And we got 2 picks back to back, so it doesn't matter.
We do. I mean, we could be looking at Eric Gentry and Micah Morris back to back. That feels our guard and our linebacker need.
It's okay. It's okay, broski.
You like going that route?
Yeah, we got 2 picks back to back. They're
right,
waiting.
Let's go, Micah Morris, and then let's just take a look at it to see who's all here now. Before we take that linebacker, because I think that linebacker we could also get a 244 potentially too. So if we wanted to take a flyer on somebody here, I've also heard Caden Wetjen, Devin Eastern throwing out his names. We could take a look at a flyer at quarterback. I do like Vincent Anthony Jr. Taylor Green is really raw. But I think both him and Cole Payton are projects.
Yeah. Practice squad.
So I think you could probably take a flyer on somebody if you wanted to take a look at least get them into camp.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go edge because we lost Jonathan Grenard. We take
that might be
Vincent Anthony Jr. here.
That might be a smart move to take the edge and then take a linebacker as with the last pick because we need some.
If you've never looked at Vincent Anthony, the dude gets some hurries, and he's a bigger guy.
6'6".
He's a 6'6" guy with some speed, and he's able to get to the quarterback. You look at his sack numbers and his hurries. He put some pressure on quarterbacks.
I think that's the pick.
All right, let's go with Vincent Anthony, and I think our Gentry's still going to be on the board, or our linebacker. Oh, he did go off the board.
He's gone. We could have did it the other way around.
Well, maybe. Because he was mocked to go off the board before Gentry was, so he probably would have been gone. But we have a slew of different linebackers here that we can take a look at.
We need a sideline to sideline linebacker that's going to be able to come down, lay a hat, that's going to be able to play the middle of the field. We don't need any Russian edge linebacker or any smaller type linebackers. We need legit linebackers that can play with Blake Cashman and that can play in the Eric Wilson role when Eric Wilson decides to, retire because he's already up in age. He's in his 30s already.
Norris is kind of with me. I do like Scooby down here as well too. He's a 3-year starter for A&M. I love that. I think he had an injury last year, and that's why he only played in 7 games last year. But
7 games was good.
Playing for A&M. He's 6'2", 230. And he said the other one was Duggar to take a look at. Jaden Duggar. I don't know much about Jaden Duggar. I'm not going to lie. 6'5", 250.
You got to go with the guy that came at the SEC school.
Hey, Norris, you said Scooby or Duggar? Norse, who should
Which
we
one?
go with, Norse? We go Scooby or we go Duggar? Which one you want to go with, Norse? He says Duggar.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go with Jaden Duggar. I thought we were gonna get Scooby, but
It's okay.
I thought that was gonna be a fun name to have on a jersey.
We're getting the A.
All right, let's take a look at this. Avion Terrell, AJ Halsey, Mike Washington, Connor Liu, and we're still able to get Ted Hurst. We get big baller Markel Bell as a potential future starting left tackle. Capehart, Koziel, Micah Morris, Vincent Anthony Jr., and Jaden Duggar. It gives us a B, but again, like we've said before, you can't really put too much into these mock drafts as far as the grades go, because it's all based on your team needs and who PFF has currently rated, at least on their big board ratings. But
That
overall,
looks good. I'll take it.
absolutely. Terrell and then Halsey, those guys should be starters. Mike Washington, yeah, he's not going to start this year, because you got Aaron Jones and of course you got Jordan Mason as well.
But you never know.
But he could be a starter in year 2 or a 1-2 punch with Jordan Mason come next year. Connor Liu, I think that's a battle in camp. I still think Blake Brandel, no matter who is drafted at center, has an edge on whoever comes in the center as far as the playbook goes, and even just being a grown man at the position of center. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
When you got somebody like Dexter Lawrence, that's coming at you. Like Brandel's a bigger dude. I think him and Juergens are going to have an edge, at least on anyone that comes into camp out of any of those centers initially. But I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. If you haven't checked it out, I just recently wrote an article about that with the center position as well that you can check out on purpleptsd.com. Ted Hurst, I think he initially comes in and he's battling with Ty Felton for that wide receiver 3 position. So I think, he's probably going to add value right away. And then Markel Bell, he's probably looking at trying to be, a swing tackle. We'll see what the health looks like with Darisaw. But the fact that he played a lot of left tackle, if Darisaw does have issues, you got, somewhat of an insurance policy with Markel Bell.
And if Brian O'Neill decides to bolt because his contract is up after this season, you can probably move him to right guard. So you have somebody young at that position that has contract control right now versus having to go in the offseason and overpay for a left or right tackle if needed.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Say we keep both of those guys and say we decide to move on from Will Fries. Is that even a possibility? It's different footwork and
we did draft Micah Morris. So
we did. Micah Morris is there too. It does give you flexibility. I like what we did with this. This is a lot of draft picks, and this is how you get younger. This is how you get better. Is through the draft. Capehart, it's hard to know. I mean, I really don't think he's going to be a starter anywhere in the near future. I think we have some really good guys, and when Jalen Redmond obviously is penciled in, but I think Levi Drake Rodriguez is going to be in there, and Elijah Williams.
Ingram Dawkins also.
Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. I think those guys are going to have a good rotation going on this season. And, who knows? Maybe Capehart's able to mix in with that. But I really like where Elijah Williams is and what we saw last year. And hopefully he takes like a Jalen Redmond type step.
I hope so.
This year. And, possibly cements himself into a full-time starting role.
Right. They kept Elijah Williams after camp last year, and then they traded away Harrison Phillips. So
Right.
I would hope that Elijah Williams takes that step this season to becoming, a rotational guy within his defensive line.
TJ Hawkinson, we know where he's at right now. He's got one. This is his last year now after a revised contract. So Tanner Koziel comes in. We really have not seen anything, lately with our last year's 6th-round draft pick that we ended up bringing in with Bartholomew.
He was hurt last year. Beginning
he was, and we'll see what Gavin has. Ben Urasek got some time, but bringing in, Josh Oliver, I believe, has one more year after this with his contract situation. But we're gonna need, especially we'll see what we do with fullback. That's one thing that we didn't draft. Eli Heidenreich, I picked up in different mock drafts as well too. It'll be interesting to see if we do pick up a fullback. We've had CJ Ham for a long time, or do we go to a lot more of 12 and 13 personnel, which that would also mean you need some tight ends to be able to do that.
But I think with fullback, you can always get a smaller UDFA tight end that can play the back role. You can bring that in, after the draft.
Sure. And then we picked up Micah Morris. So you kind of talked about that already. Vincent Anthony Jr., we traded away Grenard in this scenario. So we're going to need to bring in some more edge help because all we have behind right now currently at our defensive end spot behind Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner is Bo Richter and Tyler Batty. So you need some more depth behind there that can actually come in. So yes, he's a later 7th-round pick, but he's somebody that he's a bigger guy that you can maybe mold and maybe a project that you can get in there. I mean, and that's all you can ask for right now, this late in the draft. But you're hoping that Dallas Turner takes an even bigger step here,
especially after Bernard.
Absolutely. So in year 3, we're hoping that happens, and then Andrew Van Ginkel, hopefully he's healthy. He didn't have a healthy year last year, and then linebacker depth. We know, and I believe Blake Cashman's in his last year of his contract this year. Yes, we did the deal for Eric Wilson, which I think was smart, and we actually probably got it. It was a pretty reasonable deal in my opinion. But behind that, we brought back at least Ivan Pace is planned to come back, but we don't have anything behind that.
Behind it, yeah. You need depth there. And that's the thing about this draft. Like, a lot of people say this draft isn't the draft for like the superstars because it's not really quarterback heavy. But in every draft, you need to be drafting like this and thinking like not just this year, but next year. So your team can have some kind of depth going forward. Just in case somebody goes down, you can kind of have plug and play guys or guys that's in the background developing. And that's something that the Vikings haven't had the past 4 seasons. And that's why this draft, in my opinion, is so important this year, because they need to go out there and get some youth. They need to go in there and get some type of development. And the guys that we drafted in this mock draft are guys that fit that mold to me.
And I made it a little bit bigger. Sorry, Larson, I see your comment on there. If I could read the picks by position, I just zoomed in for you to make it a little bit better. Other comments. Northfield says, "Good draft, pretty good draft, fellas. Appreciate that. I think excellent job as well by D Woods teaming up with me to come through with a pretty good draft, especially at the top half. I think I would be ecstatic if we were able to lock down a Terrell Halsey, Washington, Connor Liu,
the first 4
I mean, Ted Hurst, that's and Bell, that's a bonus. But these first 4 picks, that's money. That's money.
Money. Cash it. Hey.
Absolutely.
Rob, follow the podcast, man. Let us know. Here's the blueprint.
Yeah, Rob Brzezinski better be tuning in. Hey, like I said before, we're going to be live here coming up next Thursday. So if you haven't already, make sure that you set it, put it in your calendars. I'll have the actual link on my YouTube. So if you're already following me on Vikes Playbook, you should see it popping up here in the next 2 days, possibly even tomorrow. I'll put it in there, so at least it's in there and ready to go. And you can set your alerts for that to go live. But I'll have several different individuals coming in here and joining in. We'll be following the entire draft, doing analysis. I actually have graphics for at least the top 50 players for the NFL draft.
Okay.
In bios already ready for the top 50 players. So as they get selected by teams, I have some analysis already plug and play ready to go. And with every team's draft needs. So I've done a lot of work building up for this. So hopefully you guys can join it if so. And as you heard, D Woods is also going to be live. So we're going to be bringing you guys purple coverage all throughout the draft, cheering together. I wish somehow we could have like a side by side. I don't know. Maybe we do something like that.
Yeah, I'm going live, so I'm telling you, I'm probably going to be trying to pop in on multiple channels.
Yeah.
I just stop my live or whatever because I'll probably be live with other people or something like that. I'll just jump off the screen real quick, jump in.
Yeah.
You know.
I might have to do something like that too. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea too.
Just put the "be right back" on there real quick on the screen, and
oh man, well, I'll tell you what. If we end up with 4 picks like we just did in this mock draft, there might be some Vikings fans running around naked in the street because that's a pretty good 4 if that's what ended up happening. We got a lot better for the long term if we were able to do something like that.
And that's the thing that people have to understand. It's not always about getting the superstars in the draft or getting the sexy picks or having to get the receiver or whoever at the top of the draft. It's about getting depth for your team. And I will always say this over and over again. Like, look at the Justin Jefferson situation. Justin Jefferson slid to the bottom of the draft, like 20 something or whatever, right?
Yep.
That look at what he turned out to be. Stephon Diggs was a 5th round pick. Adam Thielen was an undrafted free agent. Randy Moss fell in the draft. Like, you have to go out there and have a game plan to build your team for the future. Adrian Peterson, we drafted him, in that draft, and there was no need for Adrian Peterson because Chester Taylor had already had 1,000 yards the season before. So this is how you have to go out there and build your team, because you never know some of the guys that we're talking about right now, like a Ted Hurst, like, oh, he's just a 3rd round pick. He might be the next great Vikings receiver. You never know.
And the Vikings are already reaching out to talent that they think may or may not go drafted.
Right.
So they can bring them into camp. So they're already making those connections, and they already have the big board, if you will, of who they want to bring into camp that they think may go undrafted. So they already have their targets out there. And we've seen players like you mentioned. We all know Adam Thielen, and we'll see what happens with Ivan Pace. But there's players out there that have went undrafted that have been able to come in and make an impact on this team. So it's very possible that even though they're not drafted by the Vikings, it doesn't mean that they can't come in and make an impact on this team.
Yep. Right.
Look at Jalen Redmond.
Exactly.
He came out of nowhere, right? Drafted by the Panthers.
Spring league football player.
Yeah. And then, I think he was drafted or at least practice squad initially with the Panthers. But then, you take a look at Elijah Williams. Kind of came out of nowhere during training camp. And all of a sudden it's like preseason, we're watching this guy and we're just like, who the hell is Elijah Williams?
Like, this guy's making a squad.
Absolutely.
We can't let him go to the practice squad and let somebody, poach him. We have to bring him on the roster on the 53.
I know when I was making my 53, I was just like, no matter what, like, we got to find a way.
To put him in there.
To put Elijah Williams, because he's going to get sniped by somebody. Because if he's popping off the screen to us on tape, you can damn well make sure that every single preseason football game that he plays in, other coaches seeing him for sure.
Exactly.
Saying, hey, if he's not on their 53, he's on our squad.
Yeah, they're calling around and seeing who the guys that didn't make the team, and they're calling those guys first. Hey, come on down here, come join our practice squad.
Hey, I got it down on the ticker. If you're not already, following us on Vikings Playbook on YouTube and Skol State of Mind. Make sure that you're doing that, and make sure that you're checking out D Woods on X as well. Skol State of Mind. He's going to be live next week. I'll be live next week, bringing you all that draft coverage. Thank you so much, D Woods. I appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Anytime. Well, I'll see you on Thursday. Put it like that.
And if we can do more of these type of collabs where we're getting together, it's always a good vibe bringing you on or me coming on your show. I love it. I love chatting Vikings with you. It's been awesome, brother.
Man. All right, cool, man. Thanks, man.
All right, and thanks for all of you guys out there for joining us tonight. Definitely appreciate it. Tim, Slack, Larson, Norris, all you guys, Broski, that's out there. I appreciate you guys joining us tonight, and everyone else. Yeah, it's been awesome. Make sure that you're following all the socials, and until next time, until the draft next Thursday for me, Skol Vikings.
Let's
get them draft picks. Skol, we're out here. Have a great night and a great Sunday, guys.
All right, man. See ya.
See ya.